Hello everyone, welcome to Take the Black Live, the one and only show on the internet that dares to go where other shows do not tread and talk about things like science fiction, fantasy, dragons, laser guns, superheroes, such things as this. I am co-host Dan Selcke of winteriscoming.net, and I am here with another co-host who will name herself. I mean,
Hi.
Maybe if she wants to now.
You know what? I'd like to be mysterious, but today I'll let you know I'm Mia Johnson, editor over at Dork Side of the Force.
Very lovely. And thanks everybody who's watching. As usual, we have a full docket. I'm feeling very calm today. I think because usually I start this show like right at the last second, just like here it goes and it's up. I actually was like here 10 minutes before. I was drinking my water. I was at my desk and I feel very collected. And I feel very confident in saying to you, Mia Johnson, and all you Take the Black Live watchers out there, we are going to talk about House of the Dragon, the HBO Game of Thrones follow-up prequel series, which had a bit of new information this week. You know, this show has been in the works for a while, pretty much ever since the first prequel went down the tubes. And on that, I still remember the same day they announced that was over, they announced this was happening. Very smart, very savvy, very on top of it they were. And basically, HBO programming president, possibly just normal president, Casey Bloys talked to someone after the Emmys and said it's still on track, that casting is happening, which we had heard for a while. Remember, we heard they were casting Alicent Hightower, heard they're casting Rhaenyra Targaryen, heard they're casting Daemon Targaryen. He said that is happening. The casting is going forward. So if any of you out there are actors and want to be on the Game of Thrones prequel show, talk to your agents. It's very important right now. And he said it's on track to land in 2022. Now, my question for you, Mia, and for all you gentle listeners and watchers, whether you are listening to this on a podcast through, available on iTunes, Google Play, or on the YouTube channel you can subscribe to, or on the Facebook live stream, is 2022 too late, too early, about right for us to watch the Game of Thrones prequel show, House of the Dragon? Mia, what do you think?
Wow. My rational mind says just right. I think if it were to be, like, next year obviously seems like that's never going to happen, so we can kick 2021 out.
It could.
Next year's 2021. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, it could, but maybe there's also something about this year where it's just like everything needs to reset so I can give you that extra bit of time just because. But yeah, 2 years to me, it seems generous enough. I would be like, if they push it back any further than that, to me, that would be kind of sad. But I feel okay with 2022. It's just a little extra weight.
I agree with you. I think it sounds just about right. I mean, I've had folks saying like, oh, they're going so slow on this, but I don't know, man. I mean, 2022 to make a whole new series that will have giant-ass dragons the size of the ones we had in Game of Thrones from the jump. I mean, that just doesn't happen overnight. Yeah. And, you need to build a new series. You got to get the casting right. You got to, build the sets, make the costumes, hire all the production crew, get like a whole new chain of command going, get everyone comfortable in the writers' room. And of course, the special effects will be bigger on this show than on, say, I don't know, the Mindy Project. Will definitely take some more doing.
Yeah.
That sounds about right to me. Like a whole year. I'm sure they could get out in 2021 if they really, really want to. If they wanted to rush it through, you could do 2021. But I don't think they should. Yeah,
it doesn't sound smart. It's something, like you said, it shouldn't be rushed. There's lots of effects that go into it. And even like just thinking about, these other, like some of the HBO shows where they just happen to have, a small little gap in between those seasons too. It's like, it takes a little bit of a wait for something good to happen. And, of course, reserving your judgments on the final season, it still takes a lot of time to do all that stuff, the graphics and location scouting and the filming and the set. So, of course, I'm not there on the day-to-day, so I don't know exactly what happens,
no,
but I do assume...
We will be. We're going to get in this time.
Yeah, one day. Yeah,
Ground
we're going to go on those set tours.
We're going to get in.
But yeah, it's different than going on the Warner Brothers lot and filming, something like you said, Mindy Project, and it's in this one little studio, and, you're done in a couple hours.
And remember, House of the Dragon is HBO's big quality play. It's not like they're AMC and just like throwing as many zombie shows at the wall as they possibly can, hope it's up in 6. It's a little bit of shade to AMC, but it is what they're doing. Like, Star Trek's doing that. CBS is like making 18 Star Trek shows. I mean, I think they make too many Star Wars shows, etc. and so forth. But I like the fact that that all those kind of studios are making these giant networks of shows, and HBO is going like, no, we're doing one, and so there's a lot. The stakes are higher, so they have to get this one right. Like, if this one fails, they won't have Game of Thrones Hot Pies Adventures in busboying to like fall back on. Like, if one of the Walking Dead shows doesn't go through, we'd be like, well, we always got the Carol and Dale show coming around the corner. Who cares?
Exactly.
But this one they have to do well, so I'm perfectly fine. I think 2022 sounds just about right for this level of series.
Yeah. I think it's fair. It's fair. Don't tell our Undead Walking friends over on their podcast that you badmouth their show.
No, do. Let's have a rivalry.
Oh, no. It's going to be us versus me and Lovecraft versus Undead Walking. Let's get this. Let's make it happen.
Let's get into a Twitter war. Let's stir up some stuff. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Ooh.
So yeah, I'm cool with that. How about you, gentle listeners? You're being a little quiet out there. Does 2022 sound about right for you for House of the Dragon? Too late, too early? Oh, here we go. Zach Blazes. Have we talked about... Oh, we're just going to do that. Zach asked, have we talked about the revelation of why Sonic wasn't in the show? Perfect time as our next topic. All right. So, Entertainment Weekly journalist and Westeros correspondent James Hibbard has been publishing excerpts from his oral history of Game of Thrones. The title is like Fire Cannot Kill a Dragon. Like it's a really long title. It's like 80,000 words. But Fire Cannot Kill a Dragon. And he's posted some cool stuff. Like, he had a big expose on the original unaired pilot he put up. He posted a thing about Diana Rigg after she passed, and like some fun stories about her from behind the scenes from the book. And today, he just posted an excerpt with an interview with Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff and Dan Weiss, talking about why they decided to cut the character of Lady Stoneheart from the books. Now, Mia, you've watched the show, but you're not like deep in the lore. What does that name mean to you when I say it?
As of a couple hours ago, it didn't mean anything to me. I knew absolutely nothing about it.
Okay.
No.
All right, then I'll just go for it. Okay, basically.
Yeah. Silence is my way of saying go on.
All right. So in the show, we got Catelyn Stark, the Stark matriarch mother. And she is, she has her 3 seasons. She's played by Michelle Fairley. Strong character. I always loved her when she was in the show. She is infamously brutally murdered at the Red Wedding along with her son Robb, her daughter-in-law Talisa, her unborn grandchild, most of the Stark men in probably, I'm going to go ahead and say the most iconic scene of the past 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Fight me.
Oh,
I'm sure there are other contenders. That's got to be up there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now, in the books, that happens the same way. Some changes, but basically the same. But the difference is, afterwards, Catelyn Stark, they dump her body in a river, and then her body is dragged out of the river by Arya's wolf Nymeria, found by the Brotherhood Without Banners, which is that eye-patch fire sword guy, Beric Dondarrion, and his resurrecting priest, Thoros of Myr. Thoros of Myr gives her the kiss of life, dies himself, and she arises as Lady Stoneheart, a zombified version of Catelyn Stark, who now has to the wounds are still there. Her throat's still cut. She has to press her skin together to say one rattling thing. Her flesh is all peeling off. She was in the river for a few days. She's all milky curdled. She's like a gross zombie version of Catelyn Stark. And she goes around hanging members of the Frey family for doing this to her and her son.
Oh.
And she basically becomes a new dark Avenger type.
Yeah.
Just going around killing people willy-nilly. She's much colder. She loses all of her sort of warmth she had. And that's what happens to Catelyn Stark in the books. And that story is still ongoing. The books are not done, famously not done. And we don't know where that plot's going, but it was cut from the show, and how. And because obviously none of that happened on the show. Clearly.
Oh, absolutely not, yeah.
You would have remembered. And for a long time, people have been wondering, why was this cut? Why was it cut? And Benioff and Weiss in this book finally gave some answers. And they basically gave 3. And I'm gonna tell them to you and to you, gentle viewers. And you're going to tell me if you think they're justified or if you would have liked to see zombie, fleshless Catelyn Stark going around murdering folks. Okay. The first reason they gave was because George R. R. Martin told them where she was going and they can't reveal what that's about. Basically, we didn't do it because we heard what she was going to do. Like, that doesn't work for us, so it cut. And we're not going to spoil it. So we can do nothing with that reason. Second reason was they didn't want to they knew they were going to bring Jon Snow back from the dead in a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And they were like, look, we can't have 3-4 resurrections on this show. It's going to start to bring the value of it down a bit. So that was one reason. And the other reason let me just read what they said, because this one was the loosest, was basically they thought that bringing her back would kind of blunt the power of the Red Wedding scene, which again, very iconic scene. Saying Catelyn's last moment was so fantastic. That scream, I love that scream. And Michelle is such a great actress. To bring her back as a zombie who doesn't speak felt like diminishing returns, said Benioff. Now, okay, just as a viewer, someone who hasn't read the books, because I have my own opinions on this, as someone who has read the books. But what do you think of that, Mia?
Oh man, I totally get where they're coming from. And as I look at the list, obviously number 1, George R. R. Martin says, I don't want to reveal everything that she's doing. I get that. So down to number 2.
Like he told them what she was going to do.
Right.
And then they were like, okay. I mean, they didn't reveal why they weren't into it. But they basically said, one of the reasons we can't tell you because it would spoil stuff that's coming.
Okay. I get it. It's really one of those things where it's like, does the omission add to the narrative? It does in a way, that we know she got revenge on the phrase. But also, I don't know, it's one thing where it's really cool and it's why would we want to see that? And then it's also kind of at the same time, again, I don't know how much more it would add to the story other than it just being really cool plot wise. I don't know if that makes sense.
And gross. Don't forget gross.
Yeah.
As Zach says, plus the scars on her face from scratching her skin off. Oh, there's a description of the book where she's clawing her own flesh off as she watches the Red Wedding happen. It's pretty brutal stuff. You as someone who is squeamish a little bit, I'm not sure you would like it.
No.
I don't know if I would like it.
This.
And I'd love to hear from you guys, too. What do you think? Should she have been included, or do you buy their excuses? As Zach says, it's like them spoiling Bran being king, so I buy their excuse. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say something controversial yet brave.
Go.
I realize that some fans love Lady Stoneheart, but this has always been my opinion. Since literally the first minute I read about Lady Stoneheart in A Storm of Swords, before they got to this point in the show, that they've done 2 seasons, they hadn't got to this point yet. I read the book and I was like, that's dumb. I do not like that idea. I think that's stupid. For some of the reasons they gave. I didn't know about Jon Snow's resurrection back then. I did think it sort of cheapened the whole magic resurrection angle. You just can't go around. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't go around making Marvel Comics and just bringing back everybody. At some point, death has no meaning. And that scene is so powerful and iconic. I love the fact that in Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, when someone dies, they're dead. When Ned Stark dies, he's dead. Robb Stark's dead. Oberyn's dead. Marjorie's dead. Olenna's dead. I think that is a strength of the show and the story that a lot of times, especially in a fantasy story, people don't really stay committed to. In comics especially, are famous for no one ever really dies. Someone always brings back. And I really love that Game of Thrones didn't do that. That when you die, you're dead. And that is it. And I didn't like that they brought Catelyn Stark back like that. And I can also say, as someone who's read the books, the next 2 books, A Feast for Crows, Dance with Dragons, I'm going to spoil a little bit here if anybody is listening. Look, she does pretty much nothing. It'd be one thing if her character came back and became a really huge part of the story. And there are more books to go. Obviously, I can be proven wrong. But like right now, there are 2 thick ass books that have been put out, and she's just doesn't do much.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't see. Like, I feel like what you would give up by bringing her back, like you would give up some of that power of the Red Wedding, and you would, do a little Marvel Comics. I know I'm shitty Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics kind of resurrection is everywhere. Death doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You would give that up to get kind of so little. Like,
exactly. I feel you.
To get a story that doesn't really go anywhere, at least not yet. I liked the fact that they cut her. I never liked the idea, and I am behind their reasoning.
You know what? Yeah, I forgot. While I was reading your the article you had sent me that you all wrote about it, I was like, yeah, to me, and with their opinion of saying, we don't want to diminish the power of the scene. I told you before, like, the reason I stopped watching Game of Thrones was because of Red Wedding, and I was like so hurt that they killed everyone. But it's not to say I didn't appreciate that scene or didn't like it. Sure, it was more so I was like, wow, they are not right. I was like, they are not playing around. They will kill your favorite character, and
that's
that is
rare.
Yeah. Yeah, Star Wars, Marvel, the 2 other big fandoms that I've been closely watching. Obviously, they have which like we'll talk about WandaVision in a second, right? Like Vision died, but they're like, we're still going to bring him back, right?
I mean, look, Jedis die. You can bring him back as a ghost or something. Yeah. They can still talk to you. Like, they're not exactly dead.
Yeah, so I also feel that if they were to bring her back, it would be like, okay, now they're kind of playing softball with the idea of who gets to die and how meaningful it is when they die. And again, like I said, I'm glad you also kind of confirmed that. I was like, I don't know what her storyline of that revenge arc would have done in the series. So I'm glad to hear from you that it wasn't, it was kind of flat.
I mean, like stuff happens, but just not, to me, not enough to justify what you give up by bringing her back yet. I don't know. Maybe she'll be the hinge on which the rest of the story turns. I doubt it. But maybe. We'll see. Anyone else have any comments on that? Okay. Christian agrees. Good, Christian. You and me are on the same page. And Zach says, she's just in the background in the shadow. I feel like in the next Brienne chapter, she might be more prevalent, especially the book Cliffhanger. That is true. At the end of A Feast for Crows, there's a cliffhanger involving Lady Stoneheart, Brienne, Pod, which, again, could go somewhere. At this point, we just don't really know. I mean, it might go nowhere. So perhaps I'll change my tune when The Winds of Winter comes out, but until then, I'll say it one more time. I didn't like it when I read it the first time. I was happy when they didn't include her, and looking back on it, I'm still pretty happy about it.
All right.
So there we go. That's my opinion. If you want, and I know there were some Game of Thrones fans like on Twitter who were like, how dare they not include her? And if any of you are watching, come at me and we'll talk about it. Anyway, before we go to the next topic, if you're interested in these rants, these and more, we are available on iTunes, Google Play, wherever podcasts are available. We got a YouTube channel. If you're watching that there now, YouTube Live, you can subscribe to that with all of our scintillating interviews and discussions. And now, Mia, I feel like we should hit briefly before, as we move out of Game of Thrones, as we move out of Westeros. The Emmys happened this weekend, this past Sunday. Did you watch?
Yeah, I had it on the back. I was watching really only for The Mandalorian now that I have like very specific duties. So sure, I was like, if I can skip watching an award show at all costs possible, I will, but I still happen to have it on in the background. So I did watch.
Yeah, I watched too and did my laundry during it. I mean, God, those things, it's so long. I mean, you'd figure if they were doing it all digital and they weren't even there, couldn't you at least like shave 45 minutes off it?
Yeah.
But whatever.
The viewership is steadily declining. This year it took a 12% decline. Last year was 33% decline.
Oh, shocker, because even quarantine, we don't want to see it. I mean, who wants to watch a bunch of millionaires pat each other on the back with little golden statues for a job well done? Come on!
Yeah. Exactly.
I am not a giant fan of award shows, although I am a little invested in like who wins. But at the end of the day, I think award shows are ridiculous.
I'm invested in who wins. I love actually seeing, the role of tweets saying, okay, such and such won, Zendaya won.
Sure.
Her moment was really precious.
That was nice. Yeah.
I'm like always so over them.
Yeah, they got just okay. If I were in charge of the Emmys, I'd say hour tops. That's it, and that might be pushing it. Like there's just this. The jokes are never funny.
Gosh,
and the show's just not fun. Okay, that's mine.
Yeah. Okay.
Were you okay with the winner of Best Drama, Succession, on HBO?
Yeah, I was like, it would really have to take a miracle for The Mandalorian to beat out, Better Call Saul or Succession. And that's what I was like, okay, between those two.
Those three were my picks. I was like, if any of those three win, I'll be I will agree. Better Call Saul, Mandalorian, or Succession.
Yeah. I think it was also Stranger Things and Ozark. I was like, I feel like Stranger Things, as fun as it is not really up to the caliber of those other three.
I agree.
So yeah, I think Succession was fair. I have not finished Succession. I talked about this in a meeting today. I was like, there's something off about it to me where I don't like the humor.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
The tone of it, but I mean, I get that. I get why people like it, so I think it's well worth the win.
Yeah, I clicked with that show. Like, I watched the first season, I enjoyed it. The second season, something just clicked, and I've really been a big fan of it since. So I was fine with that. Better Call Saul's amazing. The Mandalorian has like a direct line to my imagination with all of its kind of wonderful sights and inventiveness. So I would have been cool with that. But I think Succession is a worthy winner. HBO did great. That's great. I think it was the most wins, like 30, I want to say. Netflix got 21. So, like, yeah, good shows won. Watchmen won Best Limited Series. Good for it. Zendaya won Best Dramatic Actress. Schitt's Creek won absolutely everything in the Comedy Awards. Good shows. Just, God, I borderline hate award shows. I really wish they would find a way to either make them entertaining, cut out all the jokes maybe, because none of them work, or just get rid of them. Who needs them?
Yeah, and there was a lot of, like, Laverne Cox threw some shade, but it was like some, like, real, like, t-shirt. Did you, like, so when she was giving her presentation, and I think she went off script, and that's when they, like, censored her. Yeah, they cut her mic, or they cut her feed. And according to TMZ, the most reputable, they said she was saying something about, I never won in this category, and now you've got me presenting in this category.
That's funny.
I think she said like effing. She didn't say the F word, but whatever she said effing. But they decided to cut it anyway, and I was like,
okay,
yeah. So yeah, there was some shade. Anthony Anderson. I couldn't tell if you saw that bit with him and Jimmy Kimmel. They were like chanting Black Lives Matter. And I like could not for the life of me tell if he was actually going off script or not. It was awkward, and I get what Anthony Anderson was saying, but it was also just really awkward in that moment for Jimmy Kimmel. So
how could you go off script when you're like doing it all pre-recorded and it's not even on stage? I did like when Succession won the Best Drama and the guy's phone went off during the acceptance. That was cute.
Yeah.
But just something's gotta change.
Yeah, that was definitely a doozy.
Any more thoughts on the Emmys?
No, I'm glad it's over.
You know what did happen during it was Disney Plus made a trailer for WandaVision, the first, well, now it's the first, Marvel TV show to debut on Disney Plus. Why don't we watch the trailer, Mia? Maybe talk about it for a minute. Okay, roll it.
It's twilight time.
Wanda and Vision, aren't we a five-pair?
This is our home now. I want us to fit in.
Oh, this is gonna be a gas!
Where did you two move from? How long have you been married, and why don't you have children yet?
Our story.
I think what my wife means to say is that we moved from...
Moved from where? Married when? Damn it, why?
Oh, Arthur, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Deep in the dark, your kiss spilled blue.
This is really happening.
Like days of old, lighting the spark of love that fills me with the rain of love.
did.
No. Why would you think that?
Because you are.
Each day I pray for evening just to be.
We are an unusual couple, you know.
Oh, I don't think that was ever in question.
All right, and that was the trailer for WandaVision. Okay, first question in everybody's mind. I'm sorry, Mia. Who is that woman I thought was on a gas tire?
That's Catherine Hahn. She hasn't been.
Oh, she's from Parks and Recreation. Oh, she's good. Okay.
Is she? Was she in Parks?
Yeah, I believe she was the political consultant.
I have to look her up now. I entered, which is funny because when she was on, she's in Central Park.
Oh, yeah, that show.
Is this her? Yeah, she's in Central Park, that Apple TV, what do you call it? I'm trying to pull up her
show?
IMDb right now. And I'm just trying to make sure that I was like, did I actually? Okay, it was her. From like having a public freak out, like, did I talk to who I think I talked to? I asked her a question during the Central Park roundtable. So that makes it like one of my second Marvel adjacent people I got to interview, but that's who it is. Cool. And yeah, it was a really exciting trailer. I was not expecting it. So when I saw it pop up on my Twitter feed, because I didn't see, I might have had like 90 Day Fiance on in that moment on the TV.
Yeah, sure.
And so then I saw the trailer pop up on my feed and I was like, oh my gosh, it's actually happening. We actually have something solid coming, from Marvel on Disney Plus, finally.
During the Emmys, which everyone watches, as Lori asks, well, hell, how is Vision in this? Great question, Lori. Mia, you're a Marvel expert. How is Vision in this? Didn't he die in Avengers Infinity War? And not snap dead, like real dead.
Yeah, that's what she says when she's in her like little witch hat. She's like, you died or whatever. I don't know, because I don't know if this is too spoilery, if this is going to happen, or if it's fun to do speculation at this point.
That's cool. We can do that.
But a lot of people are thinking that this is kind of all in the Scarlet Witch and Wanda's head, where she's like having some real mental trauma going on because Vision died and literally every other thing that happened. So she might be creating this world in her mind where, we saw her like she was snapping on the couch and
making stuff happen.
Everything was changing. So I'm like, I think there's some validity to that theory that something is going on in her mind. And this is her way of like processing it, just wishing she had this perfect TV life with Vision.
I disagree. And by the way, Zach agrees with me. Yeah, she was the campaign manager for Paul Rudd. She was in Parks and Recreation. She was great. She was so funny. Okay, so what I've read is that we got and Foreman Spawn. Yes, definitely. I don't know her name. What I've read is that so I'm not a giant comics person, but I know the X-Men okay, and Wanda is an X-Men character called the Scarlet Witch, which is weird because they haven't acknowledged that part of it because it's the whole rights thing where you can't say X-Men and Marvel.
She and her brother were supposed to be mutants, but they're like
Magneto's kids.
Right,
and her powers are so weird because in the comics she can change reality, but in the movies it just kind of breaks down to I aim my hands and red stuff comes out and stuff
really
happens.
waste of power.
It's very vague and very kind of swooshy on the screen. But there's a huge storyline of the X-Men comics where it's not in her head. She literally changes reality with her powers. After I think her kids are taken away or something, which I haven't gotten to yet. And she changes everything. She makes a whole other life. It's kind of like a Twilight Zone-y, the kids in charge of the whole town sort of thing. So I think it's more that they're going to say, no, her powers aren't just red crap shoots out of her hands. It's her powers are more reality altering, chance altering. I think she's making this reality. I think it's more than her head. I'm guessing that's it because Marvel's done a great job of taking certain things from the comics and just taking what it needs and combining with other stuff and bringing in original stuff when the comics are too stupid.
Yeah.
And making a new thing. This seems perfect for that. Take the cool bits of House of M where Wanda changes reality, make it work in the MCU timeline where instead of losing her kid, she's lost vision, and she decides to like have a little mental breakdown and change reality this way and do that. So that is my guess.
That would be interesting, because then they have these, they call in, I think that's SWORD now, which is that secret division of people who are in the jackets at the end.
There's another thing.
And I'm not, again, because I'm not like super deep into the comic book lore.
Deep, all right?
Yeah,
like,
I don't really
know.
Down. Yeah, I don't know the whole of it, but I do know it, or have heard it's like, okay, they're trying to maybe stop her somehow. Reality, she is somehow affecting this world.
Sure. That's what it looks like.
And then some people were even like, it ties into Doctor Strange because he's got this multiverse of madness going on. So maybe she's like creating multiverses and he has to put a stop to her. I don't know how true that's all going to be. But yeah, I like that. And it's like, because these last couple of weeks I've been so invested in Star Wars, I haven't had the proper time to like investigate literally every other thing going on. So I like hearing that theory because, it gets my mind churning. Yeah,
I'm into it. Christian thinks I've hit it on the head. Thank you, Christian. Yeah. I agree with you. I like how weird they're willing to get, right? Like as the Marvel universe gets older, they're doing more experimentation, which I think is great. I mean, like, because, how many fight Thanos, the ultimate bad guy stories can you have?
I know.
Like, sure, let's do a weird little sideshow where we get trapped in an alternate reality of one of our characters don't make it. And she becomes like a Children of the Corn type, where she's like controlling everything. And like, will Vision even want to be there? Can he even be there? Are the other characters like enthralled? There's some Twilight episode that did this, and I can't remember what it was, but whatever. I'll do with it. I think it looks good. It's coming. No release date. It's saying like coming soon.
Well, we've got 4-ish more months: September, October, November, December. 3 more months left in the year, so we'll see.
Yeah. And originally we were going to get Falcon and the Winter Soldier first, but then COVID happened, and it's happening this way.
They shuffled all the dates today as well.
They did. In other Marvel news, Black Widow is officially delayed into next year, into May. It was going to go up in November, I think. Now it's May, which means this will be the first year since 2009 it's a year that will not have a new Marvel movie out in theaters. Thank you very much, coronavirus.
It's a detox for me. I was like, oh God, what am I going to do?
Maybe it is nice.
But someone did mention, of course, with WandaVision coming out this year, it'll be a nice little, I'll hold you over.
Bridge.
And it's longer than, it'll be longer than a typical 90-minute, 2-hour movie. So you get a little bonus content, I'd say.
We were so close to no Marvel content at all. Oh, we just avoided it.
Hey, don't say it. Don't say that.
That's fine. I mean, like, I like it, but I believe in taking breaks. But
That's true.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it looks cool. All right, Mia, moving on. In other news, I believe that you watched the Netflix Sherlock Holmes sequel, Baba Frequel.
Oh, not even close. It's
okay. What is Enola Holmes?
I think spin-off would be a nice way to put it. Enola Holmes is basically, what if Sherlock Holmes had a little sister and she was just as good as him at solving mysteries? So, I was really charmed by this movie.
This Netflix movie, currently available on Netflix.
It comes on Netflix. There's been so many emergencies today. I don't know. Right. So Enola Holmes is I was really charmed by it. So Millie Bobby Brown plays Enola Holmes, and she, oh my gosh, it was so charming. It takes place in the Victorian era, and Helena Bonham Carter plays their mother.
Of course she does.
She was really close to her mother. She goes missing, and she's like, I have to go find my mother. I need to go, on the search for her. And so that's what she does. She puts the pieces together. She meets this other kid that's where her real mystery comes in. He's like some sort of lord, and he is running away, and there's an assassin who is coming after the kid for some reason. You'll find out when you watch the movie. She gave a really great performance. Henry Cavill was really awesome as well as Sherlock Holmes. Sam Claflin, who plays Mycroft Holmes, their brother. Oh my gosh, he's despicable in this movie, but he is so good. and I hate his character, but he's so good. So it was so good that I actually bought the first 2 books. It's supposed to be for like kids,
fun.
but I was like, who needs kids? They don't read anyway nowadays.
I can be a kid. Your inner child will really enjoy these books. Okay, cool. I'm glad you enjoyed this. This is a Mia recommendation. Enola Holmes.
Finally a thumbs up. Finally,
we can't say that. That's copywritten. We can say, we'll think of something.
A phalange in the air.
There we go. And this is the What Are We Watching? And if anybody out there, what are you watching? Be curious to hear. So you watched Enola Holmes. Mia, we're also watching Lovecraft Country over on HBO. They had the new episode, Meet Me in Daegu. I don't know if I said that right. Which was a very trippy descent into Tick's past in the Korean War, where he hooked up with a 9-tailed fox demon who murders people during sex, living in the body of a Korean woman, Ji-ah, who was also a nurse during the Korean War. I loved it a lot. I was really entertained. I was really taken in. I think it's the best episode I've watched so far. Like, the spell was unbroken. There was almost nothing that made me go like, what? Or like, that's not the way you should have done that. Like, I liked this all the way through. And God, they keep layering on the cool special effects. Like, every episode has something neat. Like, they never skimp. There's the giant monsters in the first one, and the house of Usher falling down in the second one, and the ghost in the third one, the Indiana Jones in the fourth one, the grotesque body horror in the fifth one. And now in this one, they had the Kumiho, is that what it's called? The 9-tailed fox sex demon doing some crazy stuff with tails. They keep bringing the very creative horror imagery. Yeah. And it keeps me on my toes. I never know what to expect out of this show and like what I'm going to be looking at next. I like it a lot.
I know. I think this one went straight to the top of my list, and it really felt like its own self-contained movie. Like, you could literally watch this, and like you don't have to watch anything else in Lovecraft Country. Now, you wouldn't obviously get the whole scope, of the series, but creatively, oh my gosh, I was really in love with it.
Yes.
And on our podcast, Lovecraft Country Chronicles, I compared this to when season 2 of Westworld went to Shogunland.
Very much.
Which it was like similar, funny enough, because they both went to Asian countries, or, what is supposed to be an Asian country in Westworld. But I like the idea of going to these secondary characters and putting the whole focus on them for just one show. Like, to me, that really, cool. It captivates me, and it's kind of like a nice little breather before you get back into the action. Because they really threw a lot on us those last couple episodes.
Like, this show is not having any filler. It's like really, like, every episode is very robust.
Yeah.
I almost compared it to like that episode of Westworld season 2 when they have the Native American hosts they follow for like the entire time. Yeah. Like, that's what it kind of reminded me of.
That one too. Yeah. I totally forgot about that. Maybe I like little side character adventures.
Like, I really loved it. And I already liked the show, and it keeps getting better. So yeah, I think that's a solid thing. And Christian, I'm sorry if that's spoiled anything. I hope you turn the sound down in time. But we are now done, I think, with pretty much everything. Maybe you have anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you're watching, reading, have any scintillating opinions on?
Yeah, I'm continuing to watch The Boys. It's really, really great. So, yeah. I hate to put something else on your list, but it's my recommendation.
Watch The Boys. I'm still watching Last Kingdom. Finally getting into it, like, deep into it now. I definitely like it. And that boring cult documentary on HBO, The Vow. It's good, but it's just like, you can skip some of this. It's one of those. Maybe this didn't need to be like 10 episodes. Maybe 5 would have done. It's one of those.
I'm not a fan of docuseries. I like just one straight documentary, and then just have that be one and done. I can't take the long drawn out suspense.
Like, I'm sure there are times when it works, but I don't know. That feels like it's kind of straying us along a bit with this one. But yeah, some good stuff to watch and great stuff won at the Emmys. I mean, a lot of shows honored. I said before, it is a great time to be into TV.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to me, Mia. Thanks everyone out there for watching Take the Black Live with Dan Selcke and Mia Johnson. We're here every Wednesday, 4 o'clock Central Standard Time here on the Windscreen Facebook page. And if that's not enough, we are also on the Winter is Coming YouTube channel. You can subscribe to get more delightful treats. We are also in podcast form wherever they're available, Google Play, iTunes, etc., and so forth. Thanks for watching again. We'll see you next week and have a fantastic rest of your week and the weekend. Goodbye.
Bye.